It's nearly the end of August, dealers are getting ready to receive the new model year cars, and consequentially, it's a pretty good time to buy a car, especially if you're not bothered about buying the outgoing model year if it means you're going to get a great deal in the form of cash on hood, financing specials, or other incentives designed to get you to sign on the dotted line. So let's assume for a second that you're in a good place to buy, have some idea about which car you want, and you don't mind doing some extra legwork around rival dealerships in your area. You've narrowed it down to a few choices and you're about to make the big purchase decision on a brand new plug-in car. But should you lease it or buy it? It's a question I'm asked a lot, and having gone through the process both ways with various electric cars over the years, I've got some mixed views on the subject. And while I've personally just taken out a new lease on a brand new EV, because it suited my situation and finances better, the answer to that question really does lie in what you want out of the car and what you expect your life to be like in the future. As I'm sure you're aware, a lease program lowers your monthly payment by betting that your car, in X number of months' time, will still be worth a substantial amount of money if you stick to your lease mileage limit and you look after the vehicle. You pay a monthly fee, and the financing company at the end of the lease period either takes the car back from you and sells it on, or it asks you to hand over the money equivalent to the value of the car in something colloquially known as the CBP, or crippling balloon payment. Usually for electric vehicles, at least ones that have just launched, the residual value is pretty conservative, meaning you'll have to pay more every month to offset the predicted depreciation in your lease. But at the end of the day, when you're at the end of the lease and you've paid all the payments, and assuming you've looked after the car, you'll hand over the keys and walk away. Or more commonly, be enticed by the dealer into a newer model to replace the one you're handing back. But all that money you've put in your car, it's not your money anymore, and it's not your car. You've just paid for the car's depreciation by paying the finance company every month. Oh, and if you skip those lease payments, you lose the car and you get yourself into a whole world of hurt. Buying a new car, meanwhile, shoulders you with all the risk. You either pay for the car outright, if you're pretty wealthy, or you take out a car loan to finance your purchase. Often you may do this through the same financing firm offering lease deals, but sometimes you may use your bank or credit union and find yourself with a lower interest rate as a consequence. Either way, you're borrowing all the money to pay the dealership for your car, and you keep paying the loan back until it's finished. Depending on where you live, the car isn't usually considered yours until the loan is paid back in full, or sometimes paid back in half, meaning that if you default on the loan, the lender can reprocess your car or make your life very difficult for you through the courts. Usually there's no guarantee with the second that the car will be worth a specific amount when you come to sell it either, but sometimes you can get an agreed residual value baked into your loan, as Tesla has done in the past, to help offset the risk of the larger financial commitment that a loan has over a lease. But unlike a lease, buying a car means you don't have to worry about how many miles you cover in a set period, since there are no mileage limits. Traditionally, I've always favoured buying the car outright. After all, why pay someone else for something that will never be yours? It's a little like renting. Buy a house if you can and rent if you can't. And the same has traditionally been true of leasing versus buying cars outright. But when it comes to electric cars, you've got the added risk associated with battery degradation, especially if you're considering a model that's known to have a battery capacity loss issue, like a Nissan Leaf. Now, I should point out here that I've owned two Nissan Leafs over the years, and I purchased them both outright. The first one was purchased brand new, and the second one used. But in both cases, when I've wanted to sell the cars on, I've suffered a situation where the cars have been worth less than the outstanding finance balance on the vehicle, primarily because of battery degradation. Now, if you're planning a high mileage car or you want to keep your car for a long time, this is not going to be so much of an issue. Although you should bear in mind, high mileage owners really have no option but to buy. If you're a moderate mileage driver though, battery warranties should keep you safe for at least a few years, especially if you live in really hot climates known to prematurely age the batteries. On the flip side, leasing makes battery degradation the problem of the car company, not you, and with EV technology improving at breakneck speed, helps to ensure that you're not left with a car nobody wants to buy because there are better, faster and more affordable models now in the marketplace. So, should you lease or buy? Well, if you're going to be doing high mileage or plan on keeping your car for a long time, you really should buy the vehicle outright. But if you've got predictable yearly mileage and you don't mind switching your car every 3 or 4 years, leasing may make the more sensible option, and it helps isolate you from the problems I've outlined above. That said, if you're in a market where you can buy the car outright and lease the batteries, I think that's the best of both worlds for many people, especially if it comes with battery upgrades included when your car's battery pack starts to fail, like the Renault Zoe. That's it. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, hit the notification bell and click the Patreon link at the end of this video if you want to help me make more of these videos. Until next time, keep evolving.